Welcome to Main Street Minds with your host, Amish Munshi. This is where industry leaders and seasoned pros share their secrets to success beyond limits. Let's dive in.
Hello and welcome to Main Street Minds. Today we have a very special guest, Karolina, with us, and all the way from Illinois, from Chicago. So, if believe it or not, this Chicago is the place where I ended up meeting my wife for the first time. So it has like very special memories for me, and looking forward to hopefully coming back and spending some good time over there soon. I used to live. My wife used to live in Chicago. I was in Ohio that time, so I'm very familiar with what we have to deal with over there with the weather and the wind and everything that it brings along with it, right? But I love the city, love the suburbs. It's a great place to live, and even the fantasy and the craziness with all the car racing that Indiana brings in, right?
Mhm.
So I love both the places and looking forward to learning more about you. So without any further delay, let me open up the floor and Carolina, share your secrets. How did you get started in real estate?
Hi, everybody. I'm Karolina Klinowski. As of right now, I'm top producer in Southwest suburbs. I'm affiliated with the Coldwell Banker Realty in La Grange office, and I do live in Homer Glen, which is on the southwest border, close to Orland Park, Lamont, Lockport. I am licensed in both states, in Illinois and in Indiana. And believe me or not, I do move a lot of people from Illinois to Indiana, and there's a secret behind this. Well, Illinois and Indiana has slightly lower taxes, okay? So maybe if for somebody it's important, to use this money towards maybe some vacations or other investments, why not to move to Indiana? I started real estate back in 2020 when actually the COVID hit. I was off from work and I didn't know what to do. And this is my personality. I just don't sit and wait for something. I'm like, let's do real estate. Finally, let's make the dreams come true. Okay, so I do have to thank for
Yeah.
that. I finished my school very quickly. My son was I always make fun. I do my real estate with my son because I started real estate school when my son was born. Okay, and he's gonna be 6 year old on September. Okay, so I did finish the school very quickly within 3 months, passed the exam, uh, and then did the Indiana license right away. I started with the smaller brokerage. I was the top producer within first year, and I've done 10 millions in volume. Believe me or not, independent by myself. I've never believed I can do this. My mindset was always, okay, with real estate, it's really hard. It's gotta take time, about 5 years until people are gonna start noticing me. But in my situation, it was a little bit different. People knew my background, knew my personality, knew my work ethic, and they really wanted to work with me, which is really hard in the beginning when you start your career, right? Because a lot of people goes based on reviews, right? They want to work with somebody who is experienced. So my secret to this, it's definitely confident. You got to be confident in what you're doing. Okay. um, when I started doing um showings, okay, a lot of times in between that I would watch YouTube videos. I would follow top producer agents on Instagram, on Facebook, on social media, and I would just read what they were saying, listen what they were telling, because every little knowledge would make me obviously a better person at what I am doing. But again, I would take my job seriously from the first day I started. So when somebody reached out to me, and this is a secret that I want to tell to everybody: when you start the real estate, do not think about so much money, so much houses that you can sell, because that's what everybody thinks. I could sell like 2 houses a month, and I could make a lot of money. But the reality is, can you sell those 2 houses a month? Can you find those leads, right? Because it's not like people are gonna be reaching out to you if you don't show what you are providing on a table, right? So when I had my first client, and one of my first client was actually my esthetician person, okay, and she told me, "Hey, I am looking to buy a house," and it was actually close to my house, and she was only my one client.
Mm-hmm.
I gave her my 100%. Okay, there was in the morning I would check MLS because obviously I had access to this. In the afternoon I would check MLS. In the evening I would check MLS. Even though I would add her to MLS, and MLS sends out, if you create a search, it
Yeah.
sends out those properties automatically. I would still send her separately. Okay, I would listen to her. So you gotta listen to them. Okay, what are their needs? Okay. And sometimes in the beginning of the consultation, they tell you some totally different things. But once you start showing houses and you start listening to them and you start asking them questions, you realize that actually this is not what they're looking for, what they were saying to you in the beginning.
Yeah.
So just because I gave her my 100%, because I had time and I was fully committed to her, I was able to find her property before it even hit market. Okay. And I literally told her, because I was confident she's gonna love this. You're gonna love this property. This is a great opportunity. I would create a market analysis right away for her. I would tell her, this is how property sells in the area, and this is what you can get for.
Mm-hmm.
And let's take a look at it. Okay. I was confident about what I was doing, even though I was beginner in the real estate. And again, I would take a lot of to all the new real estate agents. You gotta sacrifice a lot in the beginning, okay? Every open house that there would be opportunity in my company. And again, keep it in mind, I had a baby, okay?
Yeah.
I would go, okay, and I would do those open houses on every weekend, 3 hours, 2 hours. And then I remember my first video. I noticed people do videos. Why not me video? Okay. I mean, I gotta show up my face. Do not be afraid of showing up your face. So if I look at the videos that I that I did it from the beginning, they were not professional, but you gotta start somehow. You gotta show your face, right? And people started noticing me, okay? Okay. And if they would have questions, and if I would not, I would not have an answer, I would always tell them, I will get back to you as soon as possible. I would not even tell them that I don't know. I would get back to you just to make sure I'm right on that answer. Okay. And then I would ask my managing broker, or maybe I would just look it up. Uh, this is number one advice. Number two advice is, just because you don't have leads doesn't mean you could just sit in your home, have a coffee, and call your friends, okay, and wait until somebody's gonna call you. You have to have a strategy, and you have to treat this job, because you're independent contractor, and you
Mm-hmm.
could set up your schedule as you would be working as a full-time job. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I took this job, because previously every job that I would have, it would be Monday through Friday from whatever 9 till 5, and that's exactly how I treated this job. So I'm like, okay, so if I don't have showings, what can I learn? Maybe I would listen to some podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I would log into my company educational program, and I would learn about some investments property, because more I learn, more I can show. So whatever I was doing throughout the day, whether it was showings, whether it was teaching, whether it was going to some events, I would always show the entire audience that, hey, I was there, I took this type of lesson from this is what I learned. Okay. And that's how people started to trusting me, and that's how I ended up getting 10 millions in volume my first year.
Yeah, and it's a very big achievement. It's not easy to get to where you are with
So
5 to 6 years. And like, did you have other mentors with you, or it was all like self-learned?
so no mentors as much. Obviously, you work with a company, you have a managing broker, they would give you some advices, but I like to be myself as a mentor. Okay. And I've always I grew up in Europe, in Poland, and
Mhm.
before I came here, I was 17 when I came to United States. My dream was to become a teacher. Okay.
Mhm.
So I guess, there was already some mentorship, okay, background in my head, because
Yeah.
being a teacher is being a mentor. Okay. And whatever job I was doing throughout my life, when I came to United States, I used to work at the grocery store. That I used to manage some part of the grocery store. That I opened up my own business. There was always a leadership, okay, and there was always something that that gives me that power to become a mentor, okay, and also I do. I'm a very curious person, so if I see, I like to stay updated with the current market, but also if we do watch the MLS, the houses, on daily basis, we don't even have to learn about it because we already see what's happening with current market, right?
Yeah.
But again, a lot of learning process too. If you do, if you learn a lot, you could share this knowledge with customers, other agents, and that's what makes you better at what you do. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah.
that's really important because it's and just being able to like hustle and like be provide value to the customers, listening to the customers are like extremely valuable pieces of information. So are you like also like coaching other agents or like are you like expanding the team now?
So I'm in a process. I'm in a process of hiring a assistant and a couple agents because again, I would love to do everything by myself, but
Yeah,
there is some boundary where you can't because a lot of clients want to work with you. They trust me.
yeah,
They do want me to be there showing them houses or selling them houses. But at the end, behind the background, there's also a lot of paperwork, right? That needs
yeah,
to be done. There
yeah,
is more and more leads that you have it in your CRM that you need to stay up to date
yeah,
and make sure you follow up with them. There is also a social media that it's very popular in real estate because I've talked to my managing broker not a long time ago, and I said, when back in the day, 20 years ago, real estate, okay, they didn't have access to those MLSs, to social
yeah,
media. Their contract were maybe 2 pages instead of
yeah,
13 pages. And on top of that, there's additional, different documents that, needs to be executed and compliance with the
yeah,
with the company. And I told him, maybe it was easier for you. Maybe people seen a better value in real estate agents back in the day because they didn't have this opportunity to do research by themselves. Nowadays, people have access to ChatGPT, they have access to Google, they have access to a lot of different, um, uh, uh, different ads that they could look for properties. Sometimes they think they really don't need real estate agents. In
yeah,
reality, it's not true. They still need this real estate professional who's gonna guide them on the entire process. Because even though they have this written in ChatGPT or other, resources, they still don't believe in this until you fully approve this as a real estate agent. Because buying a home is a very big commitment in everybody's life, and we want to make sure we help them. So people definitely look for value proposition a lot. I would say, yeah.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah, and are you able to like work with both buyers and sellers right now, or is it mostly like people that are transitioning between the states?
So I like both,
Mm-hmm.
but I found when I did this statistic, I found more transactions I've done on listing sites.
Okay.
I do listing sites. I like. I'm a very professional from start to from start to finish line. Okay, I treat every sale very seriously. Okay, for me, listing a property is not only putting into MLS and waiting for a lucky buyer because that's what everybody could do. For
Mhm.
me, is selling somebody's property is changing their lives. Okay, because somebody who lived in the property for maybe let's say 20 years, they got attached to the home, and I do understand them, and I want them to feel comfortable with the work I do, and I want them to take the stress away from them. So I want to
Yeah.
make sure that if I list their property, I treat their property very seriously. No matter if it's a big property, small property, I want to make sure that they know that I see value in their home as much as they've seen value in their home. Okay. And I've done more list sites. but I do like buyers too. But again, when we talked previously on our conversation, I can do everything. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, this is why I am going to extend my team, hire buyer's agents that they could
Mhm.
focus, and I'll still be there for them. I will still advise them on everything. I will still train them how I do differently
Yeah.
than the other real estate agents, and I could focus fully on listing side and possible have a assistant who's gonna take care of the paperwork. So
Yeah.
I could be there more for clients because
Yeah.
I
And
was I was missing a little bit for because every year I'm a little bit more busy, so it's time for
oh,
me.
yeah. Yeah, it's always good to get a little extra help in at least in administrative things or like being able to like, and it's also fulfilling saying, hey, you are enabling somebody else to achieve something that you have already achieved. So
Yes.
tell me a little bit more about like a 10 million volume. That's a very big number. Like how many transactions is that?
So obviously it depends on the price point, but I would say between probably between to 40, around 40, 42, I say. Again, depends on your market. You
Yeah,
could be in a marketplace where there are houses 2 million and up, okay?
yeah.
So you literally don't need much. But in my market, it's about 40, 42, I say.
That's
Hmm.
that's that's a lot to handle. Like 40 transactions is not easy. And
It
like
is a lot.
tell us some of the secrets. Like how do you manage so many transactions, so many like obviously 40 closed transactions, it means a lot more properties and a lot more contacts that you're dealing with, right? Like
Yes.
it's how do you manage this?
I would actually, that's what a lot of people ask me because keep it in mind, I'm also have a husband and two kids. And the good thing about my relationship with my husband is he comes home from work at like 3:30, so
Okay.
he would help a lot. So I wouldn't do without him, okay? But I still want to be there for my kids, for my family. So the first year when I did the 10 millions in volume, I noticed that, oh my God, like I did so much. I spent so much on work, but I don't spend a lot of time with my family. And there is a time where you got to realize that, hey, there needs to be a balance. So every year I would have a goal and I would be like, okay, this year I'm gonna work on learning about balance, how to spend time with family, how
Mhm.
to do the work. So, and I actually established this, I have to admit. And what I do when I go to office, I don't sit and talk to agents, okay?
Yeah,
Because I know if I'm coming back to home, I want to spend time with my family.
yeah.
And that's a lot of problem that agents do. They,
Mhm.
they they have. They go to office and they chat, 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 chat. And then guess what? The work is not gonna do for you. You gotta do the work. So I'm very committed. When I drop off my kids to school, I do workout and then I go to my office. And I'm fully committed with everything. I want to make sure, I have my timeline dates. Uh,
Mhm.
so on my calendar, so I want to make sure I'm on top of everything. If I have a transactions that went under contract, we do need to open up a file, provide all the document. So I do this right away. Every time I have a contract, I put everything into data. So make sure I'm not behind down the line. If I don't finish something the same day because maybe, I needed to go to practice with my kids or something, I make sure the next day I would wake up an hour earlier to finish it
Yeah.
up. Okay. Because if you put things behind, it's like collecting, and you got to stay on top of everything.
Yeah.
Nowadays, we have amazing smartphones. So even if, let's see, I'm on a practice with my kids, or even at the showing, at the attorney sent that email, I could quickly respond it. So I'm trying to stay on top of that. But again, like I said, 10 millions volume were first year. Right now, it's more. So this
Yeah.
is why I do need help.
I know, absolutely.
Yes.
So, along with that, like, how is it? What are you seeing in the market right now? Like, are you seeing, is it, and what you have achieved is extremely valuable and
Mhm.
like amazing. More so because of the market conditions. Like the number of transactions are reducing. Everyone I speak with, they're like, it's a tough
Mhm.
market, and you are doing extremely good. So it just means when the market is better, you're going to do a lot
Mhm.
more as well. So, but what are you seeing in the market right now?
I don't, it depends who you ask. because if you ask the buyer, how is the market? Buyer will say better for me, right? Because we are leading into buyer's market. If you
Yeah.
ask the seller, obviously before, we could have listed the property on market and it would sell right away with multiple offers. Right now, it's not as easy, okay?
Yeah.
If the property is overpriced, or maybe the property is unique, or something, not right with the property, needs some work, it sits on market longer time. So again, it depends who you ask. We are transitioning slowly into buyer's market, which is obviously beneficial for buyers. I'm gonna tell you my opinion, how I look at everything. A lot of people are looking and say, I'm gonna wait until interest rates gonna drop, okay? I want to really interest rates gonna to drop because I don't want to buy property with high interest rates. But back in the day after the COVID, when interest rates were super low, this is what actually happened to market. This is why the inventory, the pricing went so up because people didn't care how much over they're gonna pay because their monthly payment was still amazing, okay? And nobody did this, but people who were buying the property to this.
Yeah.
I had a property when I was I was competing with another buyers, and I was
Mhm.
representing the buyer. Literally, we lost the property because somebody put 150,000 more on that
Wow.
property. Yes.
That's
So
a lot.
back in the day. So I always tell this to home buyers. And again, for me, it's about expectations. Whether you're the seller or you're the buyer, you got to have a conversation, have
Yeah.
it everything in writing after the conversation so they understand. What's your monthly payment? What do you feel the most comfortable with monthly payment?
Mhm.
So obviously, right now it's more beneficial for buyers to buy the property because all of these properties were slightly overpriced, in my opinion, to be
Yeah.
honest, and they need to drop a little bit because
Yeah.
if I look at the properties around my area, I'm like, I'm thankful that I bought the property before, but I feel so sorry for these home buyers. These
Yeah.
properties are selling at high prices. I mean, they're sitting right now and they still need tons of work, okay?
Yeah.
And if buyers are looking to interest rates to be dropped, what's gonna happen? It's gonna go up, 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 up,
Yeah.
and it's not good for us. So I say, if talk to the lender, see what your monthly payment you feel comfortable with and go based on that. And
Yeah.
hey, you only dates the interest rates. And if the interest rate dropped, you could always refinance. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's all about monthly payment, how you feel comfortable. But
Yeah.
I'm actually glad that we are transitioning a little bit towards buyer's market. So again, if we talk to the real estate agent and say, I don't do as much as I did last year, because you got to do more work, okay? You got to, when you work with the buyers, these properties that are sitting on market, more likely they needs more work. More likely when you do first inspection, the deal is gonna fall through. You're gonna have to go to another property, or maybe you have to negotiate strong for the buyer to
Mhm.
maybe receive a better credit. It's a lot of negotiation process.
Yeah.
Be tough on this. You got to be confident on this, okay? It's not like how it used to be that, hey, you got to take this, you got to take it either or. If you don't take it, somebody else gonna take it. Right
Yeah.
now, I feel like, you know, um, more confident for buyers because I feel like, okay, you work with me and we could literally receive a amazing outcome at the end of the
Mhm.
day, not only for buyer but for seller, because if
Wow.
seller property sits on market for a long time, I'm gonna try to help you sell that property too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so no matter what kind of market it is, there's always opportunity for real estate agents. You just gotta maybe do extra work and
Yeah.
do extra mile.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in addition to that, I agree with you. Like, I think the prices is only going to go up if the rates drop, which I think
Mhm.
is like a 95% chance of the rate cut in September, at least a 0.25 rate cut. I think if the rates are closer to five, I think that's again going to be a seller's market. At
Yes.
6.5, which is the current rate,
Mhm.
it's probably right in the not. I think this is what the norm should be. But at five, I think it's going to be completely level playing field, and buyers will be able to afford the houses that they like, whereas the sellers won't just like have to be like I'm overwhelmed. Actually, I was speaking with somebody with an agent, and it was a property management. I had a property that I was renting,
Mhm.
and they were like, I don't want to list it. We just get so many leads. I'm not even going to list the property. I'm just going to find somebody from a listing I
Mhm.
already have. And it was like that bad in 2020, 2021, right?
Yes.
It was like
Yes.
I don't like they didn't want
Mhm.
to speak with 300 applicants.
Mhm.
And,
I agree 100%. And again, I don't I wouldn't call whether it's a seller's market or buyer's market, because for sellers, if you work with a real estate agent who really wants to work for your best interest, let's talk about steps before we put the property on market. What can we do to your property to
yeah,
make sure it sells? And
yeah,
if it's overpriced, make sure you provide the seller the facts. This is a
yeah,
reason why
yeah.
this property is overpriced. I really would love the sellers to get the best price, but we
Hmm.
got to look at the market value. What's happening in the market? How is it changing? So
Hmm.
again, it's seller's market if the property is listed at the right price, or
Hmm.
maybe if it's updated and has like the major stuff like mechanical maybe updated. But if
Hmm.
we talk about property that is overpriced and it needs the roof to be replaced, the mechanicals to replace, maybe there's some cracks in the foundation, or windows are old, obviously that's a problem. And I always set up expectation, and I always tell the sellers, this is what buyers are going to be asking. You want
Yeah.
to be open. I want to be open-minded because I want them to trust me. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So in addition to like spending so much time at work, taking care of kids and the husband, like what are your hobbies? Like how do you what do you like to do?
I like to cook, and but I don't cook as much as I used to.
Yeah.
I've changed my habit of cooking. I used to did I did a lot of stew, a lot of recipe. With me being so busy and still wanted to, again, as I spoke, that my goal the next year of being in real estate was to kind of create a balance between
Hmm.
work and family. I learned how to do still healthy food, but quick food. Okay, so maybe it's just a steak with vegetables, and it's really quick dinner, and it's still healthy for you. But what I've learned actually, it was actually it was last year
Hmm.
on fall time. Again, I on the fall time you're not as busy as during the springtime, right? So I'm like, okay, I need to change something in my life. I felt like I need to change something in my life. So I started doing Pilates. And if you would ask me a couple years ago, Carolina, do you work out? I would say I hate working out. Okay, this is not something for me. I rather starve myself not to eat in order to lose weight instead of working out. But I
Yeah.
started doing the Pilates, and I felt a little bit better, but I'm a person who likes to have a routine and being organized. So I didn't like the hours. And I figured, okay, what time I drop off my kids to school, and then what is the closest location where I
Hmm.
can work out that they have classes and it works perfect for me. So I found Orange Theory,
Yeah.
and I remember the first day when I went there, she asked me if I'm a runner or jogger, and I said, no, I don't run, I jog. And they put like the wristband on you to monitor your heart rate. And she said, let's see, okay? So I'm jogging and my heart rate doesn't go up. And she's like, no, you gotta run. I'm like, no, I don't like to run. She's like, you gotta run because your heart rate is not going up. So I
Yeah.
started running, and thank God I actually signed up for membership that day because I couldn't walk for 3 days. Okay. I swear I couldn't walk. It was horrible. I was afraid of coming back to class, but I'm like, I already signed up. I like to challenge myself. Okay. And since then, I work out 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, guys,
Mhm.
and it's a life changing.
Yeah.
For I feel like sometimes even if we have a stressful conversation with whether it's a
Hmm.
investor, buyer, sellers, I feel like if I do this workout, my brain thinks completely different. I have an answer, I have ideas, I'm more. It's a life changing. So definitely, I found myself liking working out. So that's what I do. And being that busy, we like to do vacations. So
Yeah.
something to spend time. So we do vacations about twice a year, and we do camping. We love camping too.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's like so much around over there to like go out and like do as well. So that is amazing. So As we are coming closer to this end of this episode, is there something else you would like your clients and your network to know more about you? Like, how can people reach you? What is your Instagram handle? And any other piece of advice for clients?
Yes. So if anybody, were listening to this podcast and found this very interesting and would like to connect with me, whether you're the customer, seller or buyer, or maybe you're a real estate agent and would like to learn a little bit more from me, how I've become successful and I'm only looking to grow more and possible extend my team, but obviously it's a learning process. You could reach me at 704-1225, or you could find me on Instagram, Karolina Klinowski Broker, my first last name Broker, Karolina Klino, WSKI. So as on Facebook, I do a lot on Instagram and Facebook. I believe social media is something for every real estate agent that they need to do. And like I said, again, do not call, whether you're the seller or buyer, do not just discourage yourself from, oh, the market's bad, or, it's a buyer's market, it's a seller's market.
Yeah.
If you work with the right professional, there is no such a thing like buyer seller's market.
Yeah.
We could get you the best results, definitely. Okay. It takes process. It takes honesty. Sometimes, we gotta be honest. Sometimes honest might not be the thing they wanted to listen, but at the end of the day, the results are speaking. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's so deep. Like I know you've mentioned it a couple of times, but it's just so deep to have that frank conversation, have that real relationship, right? It's not just a person that you're speaking with. If once you develop a rapport, develop a relationship with the client trusts you. That's when stuff happens. If they're just if you're just looking for saying, hey, I just need to put the property on MLS and it's going to sell, that
No.
even I think even in 2020 or 2021, that probably wouldn't be happening. Like in reality, like even in the hottest of the markets. So work with a very good professional, reach out to Carolina, and you will be in good hands. So thanks for spending your very important, busy Saturday morning with us, and really looking forward to working with you, helping you in succeed in whatever you're doing.
Absolutely, I would love to work with you guys, and like I said, we treat every home buyer or seller as their only one customers, okay? And we want to keep the same results. I say we because I'm, slowly opening a team, so
Yeah.
I gotta be the we right now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's like I could feel that magic where you're like, I think you're going to be very happy with like having other people succeed as well at this. With that, I can feel the whole the commitment in saying, hey, let's see how we can do more with our life. Like, yes, it's there are like cycles that or maturity that a person goes through, right? People like even in a home ownership, it's always the same. Person is like, I don't think I can afford a home. They buy their first home. Few years later, they're like, oh, I think I need a bigger home or another investment property. They are a little
Yes.
more confident at that stage, and then sooner or later, they are like, oh, this is doable. We crossed the hurdle, right? And working with professionals like Carolina, you can actually achieve that. So don't keep thinking. I know almost everyone wants to buy a house, but going from that wish to actually making things happen is where you work with the professionals to make the difference. So reach out to Carolina, and you're in very good hands.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I love listening to your podcast. Very informative. So definitely, I will keep on doing this. Okay.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Main Street Minds. Want to share your journey with our audience? Head over to mainstreetmindspodcast.com/guest to apply.